in the shadowed corners of a sprawling, sun-drenched Texas town, where the scent of wildflowers mingled with the hum of cicadas, a quiet life unraveled under the weight of dark secrets. It was there, in a modest bungalow on a street named after the brave, that Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a heart as big as Texas, embarked on a harrowing journey that would forever etch her name into the annals of American history. A mother of 5, she was the embodiment of domestic bliss, her days filled with the laughter of children and the warmth of a loving family. But beneath the surface, a tempest brewed, a storm of mental turmoil that would eventually lead her to the depths of despair. The summer of 2001 was a time of endless sunshine and unspoken fears, as the world turned its back on the silent screams of a woman whose life was about to shatter into 1,000 tragic pieces. In the heart of a sweltering August afternoon, the sun blazed like a relentless dragon casting its fiery breath upon the Texas prairie, and within the quiet confines of the modest home nestled amidst the whispering cottonwoods, a shattering silence hung heavy as the oppressive heat. Inside, a mother named Andrea Yates, her face etched with the lines of unyielding sorrow, stood before her 2 young children, their giggles and innocent chatter a haunting echo of happier times. Yet beneath the facade of normalcy, a storm brewed, one that would shatter the tranquil veneer of her family life and leave the world reeling in shock and disbelief. As she watched the innocent eyes of her precious children, she felt a suffocating weight press down upon her chest, a weight that had been growing heavier with each passing day, a weight that she felt was about to consume her soul. Little did anyone suspect that this ordinary woman, whose life had seemed so ordinary, was about to take an extraordinary step that would change the course of her destiny forever. In the heart of a sleepy Texas town, where the whispering winds of change barely stirred the dust of the past, there lived a woman named Andrea Yates, a mother of 5, whose life would become the haunting echo of a tragedy that would shake the very foundations of American society. It was a summer evening, the kind that promises endless days and cool, soothing nights, when Andrea, a woman of quiet demeanor and unassuming grace, found herself ensnared in a web of despair so deep and dark that it would consume her soul and leave an indelible mark on the collective memory of the nation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the tranquil bayou, Andrea, driven by a storm of emotions she could not contain, made a decision that would change the course of her life forever, a decision that would lead her down a treacherous path of guilt and remorse, a path that would culminate in a courtroom drama that would captivate the nation and challenge the very essence of justice. The night was still, the stars began to twinkle, and as the world outside continued its gentle ebb and flow, Andrea Yates, a woman who had once been a beacon of love and hope, found herself drowning in a sea of her own making, her lifeless body a silent witness to the unfathomable depths of human despair. In the hushed corridors of a Texas courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of 1,000 unspoken secrets as the jury gazed upon the defendant, Andrea Yates, a woman whose life had spiraled into a maelstrom of despair and madness. The room was a labyrinth of shadows and whispers, where the weight of guilt and innocence danced precariously on the precipice of justice. It was a summer's day, the sun beating down on the concrete outside, yet the temperature inside the courtroom seemed to plummet as the proceedings commenced. The prosecution, a team of seasoned lawyers, stood poised to unveil the chilling details of a crime that would forever etch itself into the annals of American judicial history. They spoke of a mother driven to the brink by the relentless demands of her own mind, a woman who had drowned her 5 precious children in a bathtub of icy water, her face a mask of calm as she watched them slip away. The defense, a quiet and unassuming team, argued that Andrea was not a monster, but a victim of a mental illness that had taken hold of her very soul. As the trial unfolded, the lives of these children, each one a bundle of innocence and potential, were laid bare, their laughter and dreams now nothing more than echoes in the void. The judge, a stoic figure, presided over the chaos, his voice a steady drumbeat in the face of the impending storm. It was in this room, under the relentless scrutiny of the law, that the fate of Andrea Yates and her 5 little angels would be decided, a verdict that would shake the very foundations of what it means to be human, to be a mother, and to be truly mad. In the shadowy depths of a quiet suburban Texas neighborhood, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home belied the storm brewing within. It was a Sunday afternoon in June, when the community's serenity was shattered by a series of harrowing events that would echo through the annals of American legal history. Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5, had embarked on a journey that would leave her accused of a heinous crime, her family torn apart, and the nation grappling with the unfathomable. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch into the dark recesses of the home's interior, as if foretelling the darkness that would soon descend upon the lives of those within. The air was thick with the scent of blooming jasmine, a stark contrast to the unfolding tragedy, as neighbors watched in horror from their lawns, their eyes wide with shock and disbelief. It was a day that would become etched in the collective memory of the neighborhood, a day when the line between innocence and madness blurred into an indistinguishable gray, and the truth of what had transpired behind closed doors would emerge in a courtroom drama that would captivate and appall the nation. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, a shadow loomed over the idyllic community as the chilling tale of Andrea Yates unfolded. The tranquil waters of the bayou were a haunting backdrop to the tragedy that would shake the nation, as the life of a seemingly ordinary woman spiraled into the depths of despair and madness. It was a summer day, the sun casting a golden hue over the lush greenery, yet behind the tranquil facade, a storm was brewing. Young children splashed and played along the water's edge, blissfully unaware of the darkness that would soon shroud their world. As the days grew hotter and the whispers of the past began to rise, the secrets of Andrea Yates, a once beautiful mother with a soul shrouded in sorrow, would emerge into the public eye, revealing a tale of loss, guilt, and a desperate fight for sanity. It was a narrative that would not only captivate the hearts of millions, but also leave an indelible mark on the annals of American jurisprudence. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the tranquil streets of Houston were suddenly shattered by the chilling whispers of a tragedy that would echo through the annals of American history. It was a story that began in the sanctuary of a suburban home, where a seemingly ordinary woman named Andrea Yates found herself ensnared in a web of despair and madness. The sun cast long shadows as she stood by the edge of the pool, her eyes reflecting the eerie calm of the water that promised solace but harbored a sinister secret. It was a place where innocent laughter once echoed, but now the air was thick with the weight of a silent scream, as Andrea's life began to unravel in the most tragic of ways, a descent into the depths of despair that would leave an indelible mark on the fabric of society, and force the nation to confront the dark corners of the human psyche. In the serene suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the whispering oaks and sprawling lawns seemed to mask the chaos that lay beneath, a quiet woman named Andrea Yates was about to unravel the very fabric of her life. It was a tranquil Saturday morning, the sun casting a warm glow over the neighborhood, but within the confines of her modest home, a storm was brewing. The Yates family had always been a picture of domestic bliss, with their 3 young children, John, Matthew, and Andrew, their laughter echoing through the halls like a symphony of innocence. Yet beneath the surface, a dark current was flowing, a current that would soon sweep Andrea away into the depths of despair and madness. As the morning sun climbed higher, a series of tragic events would unfold, shattering the illusion of normalcy and thrusting Andrea Yates into the national spotlight, her name forever etched into the annals of American tragedy. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the quiet streets of Houston, Texas, were forever altered by the chilling revelation of the Andrea Yates drowning case. It was a story that would grip the nation, a tale of tragedy and maternal obsession that would send shockwaves through the hearts of millions. The once serene home of the Yates family, nestled in a tranquil subdivision, became the focal point of a relentless media circus as the world watched in horror as the story unfolded. On June 20th, the day that would become a grim milestone in the annals of American jurisprudence, the tranquility of the neighborhood was shattered as the police arrived at the Yates residence, responding to a frantic 911 call from Andrew Yates, the husband of Andrea, who had discovered his 5 young children submerged in a bathtub, their lives extinguished by the very water meant for their innocent play. The scene was a macabre tableau of grief and disbelief, the air thick with the scent of despair as the lifeless bodies of the children were carried out by the paramedics, their tiny, lifeless hands clutching at the water that had claimed them. The community was in turmoil as neighbors struggled to comprehend the unimaginable, their own children playing just a stone's throw away from where this tragedy had unfolded. The Yates family, once a beacon of suburban normalcy, now became the embodiment of a dark and twisted narrative that would consume the nation's attention for years to come. The media, with its insatiable thirst for the sensational, pounced on the story, scrutinizing every detail, every action, every word, as they sought to unravel the mystery of what could drive a mother to such a heinous act. The question of motive became the focal point of a trial that would captivate the nation, as experts in psychology, psychiatry, and law would debate the sanity of Andrea Yates, a woman who had once been a doting mother, a beloved wife, and a respected member of her community. The story of Andrea Yates, a woman who stood accused of drowning her 5 children in a bathtub, was a tale of loss, of mental illness, and of the darkest depths of human despair, a narrative that would resonate with parents and the public alike, forever etching the memory of that fateful day into the collective consciousness of America. In the hushed corridors of a dimly lit courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of a tragedy that had shaken the very core of human empathy. The name Andrea Yates had become synonymous with a haunting narrative, a tale of a woman who, in a moment of despair, had submerged her 5 young children in a bathtub, a drowning that would leave the nation reeling. As the prosecution and defense teams prepared to unravel the layers of her psyche, the judge's gavel echoed a solemn promise of justice. The defendant, a once beautiful mother with a gentle smile, now sat in the dock, her eyes reflecting a storm of sorrow and confusion. The spectators, a sea of varied expressions, ranged from the compassionate to the judgmental, all drawn to witness the unraveling of a life that had taken such a dark turn. The prosecution's opening statement began, weaving a tale of a woman overwhelmed by the relentless demands of motherhood, a tale that would soon unravel into a web of psychological complexities, and a battle for the soul of a woman who had become the most infamous mother in American history. In the hushed corridors of a sun-drenched Texas subdivision, the tranquil facade of domestic bliss crumbled as the shadow of a tragic event loomed over the seemingly perfect lives of the Yates family. The morning sun cast long shadows, but the warmth did not reach the heart of the home where the unspeakable had unfolded. It was a day like any other, save for the lingering chill that seemed to permeate the air, a foreboding prelude to the horror that was about to unravel. Inside, the house stood as a silent witness to the unraveling of a mother's sanity, where Andrea Yates, once a devoted wife and mother, would become the focal point of a nation's shock and sorrow. As the story of her descent into madness and the tragic loss of her 5 precious children unfolded, the world would be left grappling with the chilling question of what drives a person to such a devastating act. The tale of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her children would become a cautionary parable, a stark reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the darkness that can lurk within even the most unsuspecting souls. In the quiet Texas town of Katy, where the sun kissed the horizon with a golden glow, Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a gentle smile and a heart full of love, stood at the precipice of a dark chasm. The tranquility of her life was a delicate tapestry woven with threads of domestic bliss, a picture-perfect family, and the comforting routine of everyday existence. Yet beneath the surface, the gentle flow of her days concealed a storm of inner turmoil, a tempest that was about to break upon the shores of her once tranquil life. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening in June when the calm before the storm turned into a maelstrom of tragedy as Andrea, in a moment of despair and a twisted spiral of mental illness, descended into the depths of a bathtub, the water a dark, unforgiving abyss that would soon claim the lives of her 5 precious children, leaving behind a community in shock, a nation in mourning, and a judicial system grappling with the chilling reality of a mother who had become a monster in the eyes of the law. In the heart of suburban Houston, Texas, a serene residential street was shattered one chilling morning as the quiet hum of neighborhood life was abruptly interrupted by the anguished cries of a frantic mother. The year was 2001, and behind the picture-perfect facade of the Yates family home, a dark storm was brewing. Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5 young children, had been struggling with an inner turmoil that would ultimately lead her to an unimaginable act of despair. The morning of June 20th began like any other, with the sun casting a warm glow over the sleepy community. But as the first light of dawn faded, the truth about Andrea's life unraveled with a shattering scream that echoed through the streets. The police arrived at the scene to find the unimaginable, a pool of icy water in the backyard, the lifeless bodies of her 5 children floating within its depths, and Andrea, drenched and shaking, staring back at the officers with a look of sheer horror and disbelief. The investigation that followed would reveal a complex tapestry of mental illness, religious fervor, and a mother's desperate struggle with the demons that threatened to consume her. As the nation watched in shock and disbelief, the story of Andrea Yates became a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk just beneath the surface of even the most perfect of families. In the hushed confines of a dimly lit courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of whispered secrets and unspoken truths. It was a place where lives were dissected, where the very essence of human nature was laid bare, and where the story of Andrea Yates would forever be etched into the annals of legal history. The name itself, Andrea Yates, had become synonymous with tragedy, a haunting reminder of the darkest depths of maternal instinct gone awry. The trial of Andrea Yates, accused of drowning her 5 young children in a bathtub, had captivated the nation, sparking debates about mental illness, society's expectations of mothers, and the thin line between innocence and guilt. As the judge's gavel echoed through the room, the eyes of the world were upon her, a silent witness to the unfolding drama that would soon unfold, a narrative woven from threads of despair, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of justice. In the quiet, sun-drenched town of Houston, Texas, the serene waters of the bayou whispered secrets long forgotten beneath the surface. It was here, in the shadow of towering skyscrapers and the relentless hum of the city, that the tranquil facade of suburban normalcy crumbled into the depths of the unimaginable. Andrea Yates, a seemingly perfect mother of 5, found herself ensnared in a web of despair, her once peaceful existence shattering as she succumbed to a relentless tide of madness. As the story of Andrea Yates unfolded, it revealed a haunting tapestry of mental illness, a desperate struggle for redemption, and a legal battle that would captivate the nation. The fateful day dawned with a chilling clarity as Andrea stood before the judge, her eyes hollow and her soul heavy with the weight of a secret she had kept for far too long. Little did she know, the events that would unfold would change the course of her life forever and leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who dared to witness the shattering of a seemingly perfect family. In the serene Houston suburb of Katy, where the sun cast golden hues over lush green lawns, Andrea Yates, a seemingly unremarkable mother of 5, prepared to embark on the most shocking journey of her life. A gentle breeze played with the curtains in her modest home as she meticulously planned the day's routine, a routine that would soon unravel in the most tragic and unforeseen fashion. The tranquil neighborhood, filled with children's laughter and the hum of lawnmowers, bore little resemblance to the turmoil churning within Andrea's heart. She was a woman of quiet dignity, a caregiver whose gentle touch had cradled the dreams of her young offspring. Yet beneath the surface of her placid exterior, a tempest brewed, a tempest that would eventually engulf not only her life, but the lives of those she loved most. As she descended the creaky wooden stairs that led to the backyard, Andrea's thoughts were a kaleidoscope of confusion and fear. She had spent the previous night awake, tossing and turning in a bed that was once a sanctuary of warmth and comfort. The dreams that plagued her were dark and relentless, a relentless cacophony of voices and faces that whispered of impending doom. She was convinced that her children, innocent and beloved, were in danger. The weight of that belief bore down upon her like a heavy shroud, suffocating her spirit. In the twilight of her sanity, she decided to protect them in the only way she knew how. Little did the unsuspecting world realize that the next few days would shatter the very fabric of reality, leaving a void that would resonate far beyond the quiet streets of Katy. In the heart of suburban Texas, where the sun baked the grass into a mottled brown, the quiet of a tranquil neighborhood was shattered by the haunting sound of a child's cries. The year was 2001, and the community of Katy was about to be plunged into the depths of a nightmare. On the surface, Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a penchant for photography, appeared to lead an unremarkable life. But beneath the surface, a storm of despair raged within her, a storm that would claim the lives of her 5 young children, one by one, in a chilling sequence of events that left the world gasping for breath. The story of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her children is a harrowing tale of mental illness, secrecy, and the devastating consequences of unspoken suffering. It began on a seemingly ordinary morning, when the sun rose like a crimson ball in the sky, painting the horizon with hues of fire and blood, as if heralding the impending tragedy that would rock the very foundation of what it meant to be a mother. In the hushed, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the world seemed to move in slow, lazy strokes, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. It was a picture-perfect scene, with lush green lawns, a perfectly manicured garden, and a pool that sparkled like a beacon of summer fun. Inside, however, the idyllic existence of Andrea Yates, a seemingly cheerful and devoted mother of 5, was about to be consumed by a storm of unimaginable horror. The day began as any other, with the soft chirping of birds and the distant laughter of children playing in the park, but it was to be a day that would forever change the course of history. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the backyard, Andrea, a woman of quiet strength and unwavering determination, found herself engulfed in a maelstrom of despair and madness, her actions echoing through the halls of justice and searing into the collective consciousness of a nation. The story of Andrea Yates and the tragic events that unfolded in that Texas home would become a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the fragility of human sanity and the chilling depths of despair that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most ordinary lives. In the shadowy corners of a sprawling metropolis, where the neon lights danced with the relentless pulse of urban life, there existed a story so dark and haunting that it would etch itself into the annals of American jurisprudence. It was a tale of a woman named Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary mother whose life took a tragic turn, unraveling in a courtroom where the weight of her actions would be scrutinized under the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The year was 2001, and the world was on the cusp of a new millennium, yet it was the chilling events that unfolded in the quiet confines of her suburban Texas home that would resonate far beyond the boundaries of her neighborhood. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch into the depths of the night, Andrea found herself at the precipice of a decision that would shatter the lives of her 5 young children and leave an indelible mark on the fabric of society. The waters of the bathtub, once a sanctuary of safety and comfort, now became the stage for a tragedy that would shake the very core of what it meant to be a parent. a wife, and a human being. The story of Andrea Yates was not just about the loss of 5 innocent lives. It was about the struggle with mental illness, the complexities of the human psyche, and the blurred lines between sanity and madness. As the trial commenced, the nation watched in rapt attention, their eyes fixed on the woman who stood accused of drowning her children in a fit of despair, her own life forever entwined with the chilling legacy of her actions. In the hushed confines of a small, sun-drenched Texas courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of secrets and sorrow as the prosecution began its relentless march towards unraveling the chilling narrative of Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene woman whose life took a harrowing turn as she stood accused of drowning her 5 precious children in a bathtub of ice-cold water. The room, a labyrinth of wooden desks and polished floors, was a stark contrast to the chaotic scenes that had unfolded in the privacy of Andrea's home, where the cries of her young ones had once echoed through the halls. As the defense team, led by a seasoned attorney with a keen eye for the nuances of human psychology, prepared to challenge the prosecution's every word, the jury, a diverse group of ordinary citizens, sat silently, their faces a canvas of emotions ranging from confusion to concern. The story of Andrea Yates was one that would not only captivate the nation, but also shatter the very notion of what it meant to be a mother, a wife, and a human being. In the quiet town of Houston, Texas, where the sky was perpetually a blend of cotton candy pink and orange hues, Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a penchant for poetry and a penchant for silence, found herself ensnared in a harrowing tapestry of secrets and sorrow. It was a summer night, the kind where the cicadas sang a symphony of monotony, and the scent of humidity hung in the air like a heavy shroud. The world outside Andrea's tranquil home was a blur of activity, yet within her sanctuary, the only sounds were the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the occasional rustle of pages from the worn-out novels she cherished. Little did anyone suspect that this peaceful home, nestled among towering pines and whispering oaks, would soon become the setting for one of the most chilling and controversial cases to ever grip the nation. It was a case that would not only captivate the public's imagination, but also question the very nature of sanity and the bounds of human suffering. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the sprawling cityscape, Andrea Yates was about to take a final, tragic dive into the depths of despair, and in the aftermath, the world would be left grappling with the unfathomable depths of her soul. In the hushed corridors of a quiet Texas suburb, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home was about to shatter under the weight of a chilling secret. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the sprawling lawn, as the neighborhood children played their evening games, blissfully unaware of the turmoil that would soon grip the lives of the Yates family. Inside, Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5, was consumed by a relentless inner turmoil, a silent scream that echoed through her mind. It was a Saturday, a day that would become etched into the annals of American history, a day when the line between innocence and madness would be drawn in indelible ink. The story of Andrea Yates began on a seemingly ordinary day, but as the truth unraveled, it revealed a harrowing tale of a mind teetering on the brink of despair, a tale that would shake the very foundation of what we believed about the nature of motherhood, sanity, and the unyielding grip of mental illness. In the quiet Texas town of Katy, a shadowy tale unfolded, shrouded in mystery and heartache. It was a story that would forever change the fabric of American parenting, as the once peaceful community was rocked by the chilling events surrounding Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman whose life took an unimaginable turn. The summer of 2001 was a season of relentless heat, and under the sweltering sun, the whispers of tragedy began to circulate. On June 20th, as the world was preoccupied with the World Cup and the hustle of daily life, the lives of the Yates family were about to be shattered. It was a day like any other until the shocking news broke out, and the world would be forced to confront the darkest depths of human despair. The serene waters of the family's backyard swimming pool, once a sanctuary of joy and laughter, became the site of a harrowing tragedy as investigators would later uncover the chilling details of what unfolded behind closed doors. The name Andrea Yates, a name that once evoked images of innocence and domestic bliss, would now become synonymous with one of the most controversial and widely debated cases in modern American legal history. As the community gathered, seeking answers, the haunting truth about what truly happened on that fateful day slowly emerged, painting a picture of a woman whose life had been consumed by a relentless battle with her own sanity and the suffocating pressure of her societal expectations. In the serene suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the sprawling lawns and towering oak trees whispered tales of tranquil domesticity, the unassuming waters of the bayou served as the silent witness to a haunting secret. It was on a sweltering summer morning that the world was jolted from its complacency, as the tranquil surface of the water abruptly erupted into a cacophony of horror. The serene facade of a seemingly perfect family had been shattered by a chilling act that would send shockwaves through the community and beyond. Within the confines of a modest 2-story home, the lifeless bodies of 5-year-old John Paul, 2-year-old Luke, and 10-month-old Mary Ann, the children of Andrea Yates, floated motionless, their tiny fingers clutching at the surface like lost souls in a watery grave. The news of the tragedy rippled through the town like a Chinese letter, and as the investigators delved deeper into the enigmatic world of Andrea Yates, they discovered a mind in turmoil, a soul in despair, and a tale that would challenge the very fabric of human understanding. In the hushed, sun-dappled shade of a quiet Houston neighborhood, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home belied the storm that would soon shatter their lives. The year was 2001, and in the heart of this otherwise ordinary community, the life of Andrea Yates, a seemingly gentle and devoted mother, was about to be forever altered. A shadow loomed over the idyllic setting as whispers of tragedy began to weave through the neighborhood, a tapestry of sorrow that would unravel into a harrowing tale of despair. The morning sun rose, casting long shadows that danced across the dew-kissed grass, while the world outside continued to spin on its axis, oblivious to the turmoil within the walls of the Yates residence. Little did the neighbors know that the gentle hum of everyday life was about to be replaced by the chilling echo of a mother's desperate cries, echoing through the empty halls, a haunting reminder of the night when the world as they knew it would shatter into a million pieces. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the serene streets of Houston were shrouded in an eerie silence as the city grappled with the haunting case of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman who would forever be etched into the annals of American history. The sun bore down on the sprawling metropolis, casting long shadows and amplifying the relentless heat as the community gathered in stunned disbelief. It was a picture-perfect day, with children frolicking in the parks and families enjoying picnics. Yet beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The story of Andrea Yates would unravel a tale of despair, obsession, and the chilling depths of a mother's sanity, leaving an indelible mark on the fabric of society. The tale begins in a modest home filled with laughter and warmth, where Andrea, a devoted wife and mother, was struggling with the overwhelming pressures of motherhood. Little did the neighbors know, the serene facade of her family life was about to shatter, exposing the dark undercurrents that would eventually lead to a trial that captivated the nation. As the investigation unfolded, the shocking revelations of Andrea's actions and the harrowing details of her mental state would leave even the most seasoned law enforcement officers in awe. The story of Andrea Yates is not just about a single act of unimaginable violence. It is a harrowing journey into the depths of the human psyche, a stark reminder of the fragility of the mind and the chilling consequences of unaddressed mental illness. In the hushed confines of a quiet courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of a tragedy that had shaken the very fabric of a once peaceful community. The name Andrea Yates had become synonymous with heartbreak and horror, etched into the collective memory of America as the mother who had drowned her 5 young children in a bathtub of bathwater, her actions shrouded in mystery and whispered about in hushed tones. The defense attorney, a seasoned legal eagle with a keen sense of justice, leaned back in his chair, his eyes reflecting a storm of emotions as he studied the file in front of him. Across the room, the prosecution, a formidable team with a knack for unearthing the truth, stood ready to unravel the tangled web of lies and secrets that had led Andrea to this fateful day. The judge, a stoic figure whose face had seen the weight of countless trials, sat silently, his gavel resting on the wooden desk as if waiting for the moment it would fall to bring order to chaos. Outside, the city buzzed with anticipation, the media circus already in full swing, their lenses trained on the entrance where the defendant would soon emerge, her face a canvas of innocence and despair. It was a story that would captivate a nation, a tale of a woman whose life had spiraled out of control, leaving behind a wake of sorrow and unanswered questions that would linger long after the final verdict was read. In the hushed stillness of a small Texas town, the tranquil flow of the Cypress Creek was about to be shattered by a tragedy that would echo through the corridors of justice and the hearts of a nation. It was an ordinary morning, the sun barely cresting the horizon, casting long shadows that danced with the whispers of the wind through the towering pines. In a modest home nestled among these ancient sentinels, a woman named Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary mother of 5, found herself at the precipice of a haunting decision. The world outside knew her as a doting mother, a woman who cherished her family above all else, but within the walls of her sanctuary, a storm of despair brewed, an insidious force that would shatter the very fabric of her life. As the first light of dawn filtered through the curtains, a silent scream erupted from the depths of her soul, a scream that would soon become the defining sound of a case that would captivate the nation, a case that would leave the world questioning the nature of innocence, the boundaries of sanity, and the very essence of what it means to be a mother. In the heart of a sweltering August afternoon, the sun baked the Texas plains into a metallic silence, casting long shadows that danced like specters across the sprawling, sun-bleached fields. Inside the modest, 2-story house on the outskirts of Houston, a woman named Andrea Yates sat in the dimming light of her kitchen, the air thick with the scent of fading flowers and the lingering taste of last night's dinner. A shadow of sorrow lingered in her eyes, a silent witness to the haunting whispers that had taken up residence in her mind. The once vibrant woman, who had once been a beacon of joy and laughter, now found herself trapped in a suffocating abyss of despair, her life unraveling before her like a torn piece of fabric. As the afternoon waned, the weight of her secret grew heavier, and with a heart heavy with dread, she rose from her chair, her mind racing with thoughts of escape. Little did she know that her actions would shatter the lives of those she loved and plunge the nation into a maelstrom of controversy and moral debate. In the tranquil suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink as it dipped below the horizon, the ordinary life of Andrea Yates unfolded with the relentless march of time. A seemingly ordinary woman with a smile that could light up a room, Andrea's world was a tapestry woven with the threads of love, loss, and an unyielding obsession with motherhood. She had 5 beautiful children, each one a testament to her devotion and the dream of a perfect family life. But as the years passed, beneath the surface of that serene existence, a storm brewed, fueled by the whispered voices of doubt and the relentless tide of postpartum depression. It was a secret she carried like a heavy stone, a burden that no one else could see. One rainy afternoon, as the weight of her sorrow seemed to press down upon her, Andrea found herself in a bathroom, surrounded by the water that became her abyss. Little did she know that her act of despair would send shockwaves through the community and ignite a national debate about mental health and the complexities of motherhood. As the police arrived to the scene, they discovered a harrowing tableau of loss, and a question that would haunt the American conscience for years to come. How far would a mother go to save her children from the demons that haunted her? In the heart of Texas, where the sun baked the earth into a relentless desert, the tranquil town of Katy was about to be shattered by a harrowing tale of despair and tragedy. It was a serene morning, the kind that promises endless possibilities, when the world of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman, took a dark turn. The gentle hum of cicadas and the distant calls of birds were suddenly overshadowed by the chilling news that would send shockwaves through the community. The story of Andrea Yates, a woman who was once a dedicated mother, had reached its tragic climax, one that would leave an indelible mark on the very fabric of her small town. It was a day when the peaceful tapestry of family life was rent asunder, revealing the raw, unspoken horrors that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly perfect households. The events that unfolded that fateful day would unravel the mysteries of Andrea's mind, her actions, and the profound sorrow that had built to a crescendo, culminating in a nightmarish act that would shake the very foundations of society's understanding of mental illness and parental responsibility. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, amidst the relentless march of everyday life, there simmered a dark and tragic secret. The tranquil waters of the bayou that wound through the heart of the city became the silent witness to a haunting event that would shatter the fabric of normalcy. It was there, beneath the watchful gaze of the towering skyscrapers and the relentless sun, that Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman, embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of her existence. A journey that would lead her into the depths of despair, the depths of her own mind, and ultimately to the depths of a lake where she would try to escape the relentless whispers of her inner turmoil. As the story of Andrea Yates unfolds, we delve into the complex tapestry of her life, her struggles, her triumphs, and the harrowing descent into a nightmarish reality that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of American history. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the serene town of Houston, Texas, was jolted to its core by the harrowing tale of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman whose life took a dark and twisted turn. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a crimson glow over the sprawling metropolis, a chilling discovery was made in the quiet cul-de-sac where the Yates family lived. A young child, their innocent soul forever stolen, lay face down in a bathtub filled with murky water, the gentle ripples barely a whisper against the heavy silence that now enveloped the neighborhood. The world would soon learn that this tragic event was only the first in a series of devastating acts committed by Andrea, a woman who claimed she was driven to end the lives of her 5 young children in a desperate bid to save them from an evil fate she believed was looming. As the investigation unfolded, the tapestry of Andrea's life unraveled, revealing a web of mental illness, religious fervor, and a heartbreak that reached into the very depths of human suffering. In the shadow of this tragedy, a nation grappled with the question of how a mother could do such a thing, and what lessons could be learned from the haunting legacy of Andrea Yates. In the sun-drenched Texas town of Houston, where the sky seemed to stretch endlessly over a sea of concrete and ambition, the tranquil waters of a suburban pond harbored a secret that would rock the nation. It was a summer's day, the kind where the humidity hung heavy in the air like a shroud, and Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a gentle smile and a house filled with the laughter of her 5 young children, found herself at the precipice of a tragedy that would leave the world in shock. The pond, a serene oasis in a sea of suburban sprawl, was her stage, the water its silent witness to the unraveling of a life that would become synonymous with the darkest of human despair. Little did the neighbors know, as they passed by the Yates home, that beneath the surface of the calm, a storm was brewing, one that would shatter the fragile facade of a perfect family and plunge America into a national debate about the depths of mental illness and the limits of parental love. In the sleepy town of Houston, Texas, where the sun baked the sprawling suburbs into a dull, relentless monotony, Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a heart full of dreams and a mind swirling with turmoil, found herself ensnared in a harrowing nightmare from which there would be no waking. A former teacher with a master's degree in education, Andrea had once been a beacon of light in the lives of her students, her laughter as infectious as her love for learning. Yet as the shadow of despair crept into her life, she became a figure of haunting tragedy. It was a Tuesday evening, the sky a canvas of twilight hues, when she made the fateful decision that would shatter the lives of her beloved children and send shockwaves through an entire community. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows as Andrea, her eyes red-rimmed from a night of restless sleep, descended into the depths of the bathtub, her small hands clutching the porcelain rim with a desperate grip. The water, cold and unforgiving, surrounded her, the taste of chlorine mingling with the salt of her tears as she succumbed to the darkness that had been consuming her for years. The world outside her door continued its relentless march, unaware of the silent scream that echoed through the house, a scream for help, for love, for redemption that would forever echo through the halls of justice and the corridors of time. In the quiet, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, the serene facade of the Yates family home belied the turmoil that would soon shatter the community's sense of safety. It was a Tuesday afternoon in June when the world as they knew it came crashing down, as the tragic events surrounding Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5 young children, unfolded in a manner that would forever change the course of American legal history. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows over the lush greenery of the neighborhood as the Yateses prepared for another ordinary day. Inside, however, the atmosphere was thick with tension, a silent war being fought in the confines of their modest abode. It was a battle that would end in the most harrowing of ways, as Andrea, a woman of gentle demeanor and unyielding love for her offspring, would become the focal point of a national debate on the nature of mental illness, the boundaries of parental rights, and the depths of human despair. The day began like any other, with the sound of children's laughter mingling with the hum of household chores. But as the afternoon waned, the idyllic scene would give way to a nightmarish tableau that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who witnessed it. The story of Andrea Yates is one of profound sorrow, complex emotions, and a haunting question. What drives a woman to take the lives of her own children in the most brutal of fashions? As the details of her harrowing tale emerged, the nation was left grappling with the complexities of human behavior, the nature of evil, and the thin line between sanity and madness. In the shadowy, sun-drenched town of Houston, Texas, a chilling enigma unfurled as the tranquil waters of a serene lake turned into a macabre stage for a tragic tale. It was a crisp autumn morning when the first whisper of dread began to weave through the neighborhood, as neighbors reported the eerie absence of laughter and the faint, haunting sounds of a child's playful cries. The once vibrant community, where families gathered under the shade of oaks, now echoed with a silence so heavy, it felt as if the very air itself had grown thick with sorrow. The focus of this somber tableau was Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5 young children, whose life took a surreal turn that would leave an indelible mark on the fabric of society. It was on that fateful day that the tranquil lake became a watery grave, and the world would come to know the haunting story of Andrea Yates, a woman who found herself ensnared in a web of despair, and a fate that would leave the nation reeling with shock and disbelief. In the serene suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the hum of daily life blended seamlessly with the lush greenery of the surrounding neighborhoods, the tranquility was suddenly shattered by a harrowing incident that would become a chilling epitome of maternal madness. It was an ordinary summer morning, the sun casting its golden rays upon the world, when a call broke through the silence, sending shockwaves through the community. Inside a modest, unassuming home, Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5, stood amidst a pool of her own making, the chilling water enveloping her as if to cleanse her of a secret too dark to bear. The world would soon learn that beneath the mask of a perfect mother, Andrea harbored a tormented soul, driven to the brink by an unfathomable obsession that would lead her down a path from the depths of despair to the confines of a courtroom, where her actions would be scrutinized and her sanity would be questioned in the most harrowing of trials. The story of Andrea Yates is not just a tale of a mother's descent into madness. It is a chilling exploration of the fragility of human emotions, the boundaries of morality, and the terrifying reality that sometimes the ones we trust the most can shatter the very essence of what we hold dear. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the tranquil streets of Houston, Texas, were jolted by a chilling discovery that would echo through the annals of American justice. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the quiet neighborhood where the lives of the Yates family were about to shatter into a million pieces. As the heat of the afternoon began to wane, the neighbors noticed the peculiar sight of a small, lifeless body floating face down in the murky waters of their backyard pond. The community, once bound by the simple rhythms of life, was now consumed by a sense of dread and disbelief. This was no ordinary tragedy. It was the beginning of a case that would captivate the nation, leaving an indelible mark on the American judicial system. Amidst the chaos and sorrow, a woman named Andrea Yates, a seemingly gentle and devoted mother, would find herself at the center of a legal maelstrom, her actions questioned and her sanity scrutinized under the relentless gaze of the public and the media. The story of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her 5 children would unravel a tapestry of tragedy, mental illness, and the complex intersection of faith and science, challenging the very essence of what it means to be a parent and a human being. In the heart of a sleepy Texas town, where the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the tranquil bayous, the life of Andrea Yates was about to take a harrowing turn. A mother of 5, she was known for her gentle smile and unwavering dedication to her family. Yet beneath that serene exterior, a storm of inner turmoil brewed. It was a storm that would eventually sweep Andrea into the depths of despair, leading her down a path that would shock the nation and leave an indelible mark on the annals of American justice. As the days grew shorter and the nights longer, Andrea's world began to unravel, and with each passing moment, the secret she harbored threatened to surface, threatening to drown her in a sea of sorrow and guilt. In the shadowy confines of a dimly lit courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of sorrow and intrigue as the Andrea Yates drowning case unfurled like a tapestry of tragedy. The judge's gavel clanged, a solemn herald of the proceedings to come, and the spectators, a sea of faces etched with curiosity and disbelief, settled into their seats. The defendant, a woman of delicate features and a gentle demeanor, sat huddled in the corner, her eyes downcast, a silent witness to the horror that had unfolded in her home. The prosecution, a team of seasoned attorneys, stood resolute, their voices a chorus of accusations and evidence, while the defense team, led by a lawyer with a reputation for unearthing the truth, approached the bench with a quiet determination. The story of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman, had taken a harrowing turn, and as the facts and testimonies were laid bare, the court became the stage for a dramatic narrative that would captivate the nation and challenge the very essence of justice. In the sweltering Texas summer of 2001, the tranquil neighborhood of Katy was jolted into a harrowing wake by the tragic discovery of the bodies of 3-year-old Greta, 5-year-old Mary, and 2-year-old John in the bathtub of their home, their young lives extinguished in a silent, sorrowful embrace of water. The scene was one of heart-wrenching horror, the air thick with the scent of chlorine, and the overwhelming sense of a family shattered beyond repair. At the center of this tragedy stood Andrea Yates, a woman with a seemingly perfect life, a wife and mother whose facade of domestic bliss had masked a churning storm of mental illness that would soon shatter the world's perception of her. Amidst the chaos of the investigation, whispers of her husband Russell's recent departure and her own dark past began to surface, weaving a complex tapestry of suspicion and sorrow that would unravel the lives of all involved, leaving behind a legacy of despair and the haunting question of what really led Andrea Yates to the brink of such a catastrophic act. In the hushed confines of a Texas courtroom, the weight of history hung heavy as the jury gazed upon the defendant, a woman whose life had spiraled into an abyss of madness. The year was 2001, and the name Andrea Yates had become synonymous with the ultimate tragedy, a mother driven to the brink by the voices that tormented her. The room was a cacophony of whispered prayers and unspoken fears, as memories of the past 6 weeks were laid bare before the eyes of the nation. On June 20, 2001, Andrea Yates had submerged her 5 young children, one by one, into a bathtub, their small lives extinguished by a flood of water that cascaded down their innocent faces. The court had been filled with the sound of sobs, the air thick with the scent of sorrow, as the lives of these children were recounted, their joyful laughter now etched into the walls of time. The prosecution sought justice for the loss of 5 lives, while the defense argued that Andrea was the victim of a severe mental illness, her actions a tragic manifestation of the voices that had stolen her sanity. As the trial unfolded, the world watched, their hearts heavy with the weight of a mother who had fallen prey to the relentless whispers that consumed her every waking moment. In the shadowed crevices of a quiet Texas suburb, the serene facade of a seemingly ordinary home harbored a darkness that would shatter the tranquil community. It was a summer night when the world of Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother, would collide with an unimaginable tragedy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sprawling neighborhood, a cacophony of laughter and playful banter filled the air, but within the Yates household, a silent storm brewed. The tranquil waters of the backyard pool had become a silent witness to the unfolding horror as Andrea, driven by an insatiable urge to cleanse her soul of the sins she believed she had committed, submerged her young children one by one, their tiny bodies succumbing to the relentless pull of the dark, murky depths. The community that had once embraced the Yates family now grappled with a sense of disbelief, their once peaceful existence now marred by the chilling echoes of the tragic event that would become etched into the annals of American history. The chilling details of the case would unravel a web of mystery and sorrow, as the world watched in horror, forced to confront the stark reality that even the most serene of lives could be consumed by the relentless grip of despair and the unfathomable depths of human madness. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, where the sky seemed to whisper secrets of the heavens and the streets hummed with the pulse of life, a dark shadow loomed over the seemingly peaceful community. It was a story that would forever change the fabric of its history, a tale that would echo through the corridors of time and unsettle the very souls who dared to hear it. It was the chilling narrative of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman who had been married to a man named Russell, a devoted husband who worked tirelessly to provide for his family. The Yates family lived in a cozy, well-kept home, where laughter and the warmth of love seemed to fill every corner. But behind closed doors, a storm brewed, a tempest of despair and madness that would eventually wash over the town and leave its mark forever etched in the annals of American jurisprudence. One fateful morning, as the sun began its daily dance across the canvas of the sky, a series of tragic events unfolded that would shake the very foundations of the American legal system and challenge the very essence of justice itself. It was a case that would captivate the nation, a story of a mother's descent into madness and the unimaginable horror she visited upon her innocent children, an act so heinous that it would become a defining moment in the annals of criminal jurisprudence. The story of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her 5 children was not just a legal battle, it was a psychological odyssey, a journey into the abyss of maternal instinct gone awry, a haunting reminder of the fragility of the human mind, and the potential for darkness to lurk within even the most unsuspecting souls. In the hushed corridors of the mental institution, where the echoes of sanity seemed to wane with each passing day, there was a woman named Andrea Yates who had become the silent specter of the ward. Her eyes, once filled with the promise of life, now held a hollow gaze, reflecting the depths of her own personal hell. It was a cold, misty morning when the guards found her, a mother of 5, shrouded in a fog of despair, the waterlogged floor surrounding her body like a watery grave. The details of the night before were shrouded in mystery, but the chilling facts of the case would soon emerge, unraveling the twisted tapestry of her sanity and casting a dark shadow over the lives of those who knew her. The night had begun as a peaceful interlude, but by dawn, it had become a haunting tableau of loss and the relentless march of madness. The world outside the institution, with its relentless march of time, had no idea that the Andrea Yates drowning case was about to shake the very foundations of their understanding of innocence and the fragility of the human mind. In the heart of Texas, where the sun baked the dusty streets and the heat shimmered like a mirage, a chilling mystery unfolded within the confines of a quiet suburban home. It was a Sunday morning, and the world was a mere whisper away from the mundane as Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a gentle smile and a heart full of dreams, found herself standing at the edge of a shallow pool in her backyard. The sun was just beginning to creep over the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the concrete, but Andrea's eyes were locked on the water, its surface as still as glass. She had always been a nurturer, a caregiver, a wife and mother whose life was a tapestry of love and sacrifice. Yet on this fateful day, the threads of her existence began to unravel, and the water that should have brought her solace now held the seeds of her undoing. As the first rays of light pierced the sky, a crowd of questions swirled in her mind, each one as relentless as the waves that would soon lap at the shore of her sanity. And so, with a silent plea to the heavens, Andrea Yates stepped into the water, her heart racing, her soul shattering, and the world for a moment held its breath. In the heart of Texas, beneath the relentless summer sun, the tranquil community of Houston was forever altered by the chilling events surrounding Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman who would become synonymous with one of the most harrowing tragedies in modern American history. The year was 2001, and the world was on the brink of a new millennium, but in this small corner of the city, lives were about to spiral into an abyss of despair. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the sprawling suburban neighborhood, Andrea Yates, a stay-at-home mother of 5 young children, found herself in the midst of a profound and inexplicable crisis. The tranquil waters of the bathtub had become her dark sanctuary, a place where she sought solace from the demons that haunted her soul, but it was a sanctuary that would claim the lives of her innocent offspring and shatter the lives of countless others. The events that unfolded that fateful night were to become the subject of national obsession, a tale of maternal madness and the unyielding grip of mental illness that would captivate the nation, provoke intense debate, and leave an indelible mark on the American psyche. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, where the sun kissed the skyline with a golden glow, Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a heart full of love, found herself ensnared in a web of tragedy that would forever change the course of her life. It was a summer day, the kind where the air shimmered with humidity and the sky seemed to stretch endlessly, when Andrea, a mother of 5, took a fateful step into the bathroom of her home, a place of sanctuary and solace, and submerged herself in a bathtub filled with water, her eyes closed, her breaths coming in a desperate rhythm. The world outside continued to spin, unaware of the turmoil that was about to unfold, as the community that had once known her as a caring and devoted mother would soon learn the harrowing truth behind the enigmatic smile that had graced her face for so many years. The story of Andrea Yates is not one of a criminal or a villain, but rather a tale of a woman who, in the depths of her despair, sought solace in the only way she knew how, and whose actions would ignite a national debate about mental health, motherhood, and the limits of human endurance. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the serene streets of Houston were abruptly shattered by the chilling revelation of the Andrea Yates drowning case. The once tranquil community was engulfed in a whirlwind of shock and disbelief, as the tragic tale of a seemingly devoted mother turned into a nightmarish saga of madness and despair. It all began on June 20th, when the police received a frantic call from Andrea Yates, a woman who had recently given birth to her fifth child, seeking help for her youngest boy who was drowning in the bathtub. But as the police arrived at the Yates residence, they found not a scene of frantic rescue, but a haunting tableau of 4 lifeless infants, victims of a tragic and inexplicable crime. The investigation that followed would unravel the dark secrets of a woman who seemed to be spiraling into a vortex of mental illness, leaving a trail of shattered lives and a nation grappling with the complexities of postpartum psychosis. As the trial unfolded, the nation was forced to confront the delicate balance between mental health and criminal responsibility, while the lives of the Yates family were forever altered by the tragic events that began with a simple 911 call and ended in the most harrowing of ways. In the tranquil, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, nestled between towering pines and a meandering bayou, lived Andrea Yates, a woman whose life was about to spiral into the depths of tragedy and intrigue. The days were a seamless tapestry of routine: morning jogs along the waterfront, afternoon coffee at the local cafe, and evenings spent reading or watching reruns of classic films with her husband, Rusty. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect family life, Andrea was grappling with an insidious tide of mental illness, one that would soon shatter the tranquility of her world and ignite a debate about the nature of maternal instinct, mental health, and the limits of human compassion. It was on the morning of June 20, 2001, that the unspoken truth about Andrea's life emerged with a shock that reverberated across the nation, as she made a harrowing choice that would change everything forever. In the heart of Houston, Texas, a storm brewed within the confines of a quiet suburban home, where the tranquility of the neighborhood was about to be shattered by the chilling whispers of a tragedy that would echo through the corridors of justice. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening, the sun casting a golden glow over the sprawling cityscape, but within the Yates household, a tempest of darkness was about to unfurl. Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5, had recently lost her youngest child to a tragic accident, and the weight of grief bore down upon her like a shroud, suffocating her soul. As night fell, she found herself in the bathroom, a place of solace that had now become a place of despair, her mind a whirlwind of guilt and sorrow. With a heavy heart, she reached for the phone, dialed the emergency services, and in a voice laced with a haunting desperation, she confessed to a crime that would rock the nation and challenge the very fabric of human empathy. Little did the authorities know that this was just the beginning of a harrowing tale that would unravel the layers of a woman's sanity, exposing the chilling depths of maternal despair and the relentless pursuit of answers that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of American jurisprudence. In the hushed corridors of the psychiatric ward, the name Andrea Yates echoed like a haunting specter, a specter that had cast a long, dark shadow over the lives of those who knew her, and those who only heard whispers of her tale. It was a story that began in the serene suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the sun seemed to smile upon a family living a life of quiet contentment. Yet behind the picture-perfect facade, a storm was brewing, a storm that would shatter the tranquility of the neighborhood and shake the very foundations of American society. Andrea, a woman of seemingly boundless optimism and unwavering faith, found herself ensnared in a web of despair, a web that would lead her down a path she never could have imagined. It was a journey that would leave behind a trail of sorrow, a trail marked by the tragic loss of 5 innocent lives, a trail that would lead to the most infamous courtroom drama in modern history. As the world watched in horror, the question of why Andrea Yates would take such a desperate and destructive course became the focal point of a nation's grief and a legal system's struggle to understand the unfathomable. In the heart of suburban Houston, Texas, a tranquil neighborhood harbored a dark secret that would forever alter the lives of those who lived there. It was a quiet Saturday morning when the sun rose over the sprawling lawns, casting long shadows and painting the sky with hues of pink and orange. Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a warm smile and a gentle demeanor, had prepared a hearty breakfast for her 5 young children, ages 6, 4, 3, 2, and 6 months, eager to spend the day playing in the backyard. The family's laughter and the sound of children at play filled the air, a cheerful symphony that masked the impending tragedy. Yet beneath the surface, a storm brewed, and the seemingly perfect life of the Yates family was about to shatter into a million fragments. As the sun climbed higher, casting a golden glow over the modest abode, little did the neighbors know that the tranquility they so cherished was about to be shattered by the chilling screams that would echo through the streets, forever etching the name Andrea Yates into the annals of American jurisprudence. In the serene Texas town of Houston, where the sun seemed to kiss the streets with relentless warmth, the tranquil facade of normalcy was about to shatter into a mosaic of shattered glass and broken dreams. It was a seemingly ordinary morning when Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman, embarked on a harrowing journey that would shake the very core of her being and leave an indelible mark on the annals of American jurisprudence. The sun had barely crested the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the dew-kissed grass as Andrea stood at the edge of her backyard pool, her eyes reflecting the chilling calm of the water that lay before her. She had been a doting mother, a wife adored by all, but within her soul, a tempest brewed, a storm of inner turmoil that threatened to consume her. With a heavy heart and a mind clouded by despair, she reached down and pulled her first child into the depths, her eyes brimming with a mixture of sorrow and a desperate plea for solace. Little did she know that this act would ignite a firestorm of controversy and debate, as the nation grappled with the question of mental illness, motherhood, and the bounds of justice. As the first child's lifeless body emerged from the water, the world would take notice, and the story of Andrea Yates would become one of the most polarizing and haunting tales in modern history. In the hushed corridors of a decrepit Texas mental institution, the name Andrea Yates echoed like a specter from a bygone era, a haunting reminder of a tragedy that would shatter the fabric of American society. It was a summer evening in 2001, the heat of the Texas sun seeping through the broken windows, casting long, eerie shadows across the barren landscape. Inside the dimly lit room, Andrea Yates, a slender woman with a gentle smile and eyes that held the weight of 1,000 secrets, sat motionless, her mind a storm of chaos and despair. The institution, a place meant to heal, had become her prison, a place where she was confined not for her actions but for the haunting memories that plagued her soul. That night, as the clock struck midnight, a silent agreement was made, a pact between a mother's heart and a world that had forsaken her. And so, in a series of chilling events that would become the stuff of nightmares, Andrea Yates embarked on a journey that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of American history. A journey that would begin with the drowning of her 5 precious children in a bathtub filled with icy water. A Chinese letter that would shake the very core of humanity and force the nation to confront the dark corners of its own psyche. In the hushed corridors of a sleepy Texas town, where the whispering winds of change seemed to dance around the corners of the quaint little houses, there lived a woman named Andrea Yates, a mother of 5, whose life was about to shatter like glass under the relentless pressure of a society that often misunderstood the delicate tapestry of human emotions. The sun cast a warm, golden glow on the small, well-manicured lawn of the Yates family home, but the shadows of doubt and sorrow lurked just beneath the surface, unseen but palpable. It was a time when the world seemed to spin out of control, and in the midst of chaos, Andrea found herself at the precipice of a dark abyss, a place where the lines between sanity and madness blurred into an indistinguishable fog. The summer of 2001 was a season of relentless heat, and with it, the temperature of Andrea's inner turmoil rose like a fever, threatening to consume her in an inferno of her own making. Little did the townsfolk know that the idyllic facade of their seemingly perfect neighborhood would soon be marred by the chilling revelation that within these walls, a mother's love had twisted into a deadly obsession, leading to a Chinese letter that would shake the very foundations of their understanding of family, compassion, and the unyielding grip of mental illness. In the shadowy depths of a quiet suburban Houston neighborhood, the serene facade of the Yates family home belied the turmoil that brewed within. The sun cast long, languid shadows as it dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of deep orange and crimson. But within the house, the atmosphere was as heavy as the oppressive humidity of a Texas summer. Andrea Yates, a woman with a gentle smile and a soulful gaze, had been a beacon of love and stability, her laughter a melody that echoed through the halls. Yet, as night enveloped the world, it was Andrea's silent screams that would forever echo in the hearts of those who knew her. For on that fateful night, in the quiet of her own home, she would turn the sanctity of motherhood into a chilling tableau of despair and madness. The story of Andrea Yates is one that transcends the boundaries of time and place, a haunting narrative that plumbs the depths of human psyche and the limits of societal understanding. It is a tale of a woman who, in the grip of a mental abyss, would take the lives of her 5 precious children, leaving behind a wake of sorrow and a nation grappling with the harrowing truth of mental illness and its consequences. As the investigation unfolded, the world would be thrust into the dark waters of a case that would challenge the very fabric of its moral compass, and the name Andrea Yates would become synonymous with a tragedy that would shake the very foundations of American society. In the heart of Texas, beneath the relentless Texas sun, the tranquil neighborhood of Katy was shattered by a tragedy that would echo through the annals of American jurisprudence. It was a Tuesday morning, a day like any other, when the seemingly perfect life of Andrea Yates, a stay-at-home mother of 5, took a harrowing turn. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the sprawling lawns, Andrea stood in her backyard, her eyes reflecting a mixture of despair and a desperate resolve. With each step she took towards the shimmering pool, the world seemed to fade away, leaving behind the laughter of children and the hum of everyday life. It was in this isolated moment, shrouded by the oppressive heat, that Andrea Yates' life took a dark and twisted path, one that would soon become the focal point of a national debate about mental illness, motherhood, and the law. The events that unfolded that day would challenge the very essence of justice, as the lives of her 5 young children became entangled in a web of sorrow and controversy, forever altering the fabric of their family and the community they called home. In the heart of a bustling Texas city, the life of Andrea Yates seemed as ordinary as the sun that rose and set each day. Yet beneath the surface of her tranquil facade, a storm brewed that would shatter the very fabric of her existence. A mother of 5, Andrea's days were a tapestry of endless laundry, the soft hum of children's laughter, and the comforting scent of home-cooked meals. But the tranquil waters of her life were about to be engulfed by a maelstrom of despair that no one could have predicted. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across her backyard, a chilling wind began to stir, whispering secrets of a mind consumed by darkness. The world outside knew little of the turmoil that roiled within Andrea's soul, but soon the truth would surface, and the tranquil waters of her life would turn into a relentless tide of tragedy, as the story of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her children unfolded in a way that would shake the nation to its core. In the hushed stillness of the early morning hours, the serene lake nestled within the heart of Austin, Texas, was a tranquil mirror reflecting the pale glow of dawn. Yet beneath the surface, a storm brewed within the troubled mind of a woman named Andrea Yates. As the first light of day began to seep through the trees, Andrea, a seemingly ordinary mother of 5, found herself ensnared in a web of despair and delusion, a web that would shatter the lives of those she loved most. The tranquil water of the lake, once a source of comfort and joy, now became a silent witness to her descent into the depths of madness. It was a place where the line between sanity and madness blurred, a place where the ordinary gave way to the extraordinary, and where the truth lay hidden beneath the surface of a seemingly peaceful existence. In the heart of Texas, where the sun baked the dusty soil and the whispering winds carried tales of yesteryear, a shadow loomed over the serene community of Katy. It was the summer of 2001, a season that promised joy and relaxation. But for the Yates family, it was a summer shrouded in darkness. The tranquil streets of their subdivision were forever altered by the tragic events that unfolded within their home, where a mother, overwhelmed by the weight of her own despair, made a decision that would shake the very core of her being. It was a story that would not only captivate the nation, but also unravel the deepest layers of human psychology, as the world watched in horror as Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5, stood accused of drowning her 4 young children in a bathtub, one by one. The whispered speculations and media frenzy that followed would paint a picture of a woman pushed to the brink of sanity, her actions a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of maternal love gone awry. In the tranquil town of Houston, Texas, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the serene bayous that meandered through the city. The world seemed to pause for a moment, as if in anticipation of the extraordinary tale that was about to unfold. It was a story that would shake the very core of the American justice system, a story that would captivate the nation and leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of millions. Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a gentle smile and a heart full of love, found herself at the center of a tragedy that would become a cautionary tale for generations. The tranquil waters of the bayous were about to become the stage for a dark and chilling drama, one that would reveal the depths of human despair and the fragility of the human mind. As the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky, a silent promise was made, a promise that this story would be told, not just as a mere account of a tragic event, but as a profound exploration of the human condition, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit, and a haunting reminder of the shadow that lurks within the heart of every soul. In the heart of Texas, where the sun baked the vast, open plains into a relentless orange glow, the tranquility of suburban life was shattered by the tragic tale of Andrea Yates, a woman ensnared in the cruel web of despair and the relentless whispers of society's judgment. On June 20, 2001, in a house draped in the suffocating silence of a Midwestern twilight, the life of Andrea Yates took an unforeseen and tragic turn. Her home, a sanctuary once filled with laughter and the warm embrace of family, became the scene of a chilling act that would send shockwaves through the nation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a melancholy hue upon the once vibrant neighborhood, Andrea, a woman who had always been seen as a caring mother and a devoted wife, made a decision that would shatter the very fabric of her world. In a silent, solitary act of desperation, she submerged her 5 precious children, one by one, into the murky depths of the family pool, their innocent lives snuffed out by the icy embrace of water. The world would never understand the inner turmoil that led Andrea to such a heart-wrenching fate, but as the investigation unfolded, it would reveal a complex tapestry of mental illness, societal pressures, and the relentless pursuit of perfection that had all but consumed her. The small town of Katy, Texas, would forever bear the weight of this dark secret, as the lives of the Yates family would be eternally entwined with the haunting legacy of the woman who called it home. In the shadowy recesses of a quiet Houston suburb, where the sun dipped below the horizon casting long fingers of light through the trees, the tranquility of the neighborhood was shattered by the harrowing cries that would echo through the years. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening when the serene facade of suburban normalcy crumbled, revealing the dark underbelly of a life that would forever be entwined with the chilling tale of Andrea Yates. The sound of breaking glass and splintering wood filled the air as neighbors rushed to the home of the beleaguered mother, her eyes wide with fear and confusion as she clutched her children's tiny bodies, each one a silent witness to the unfathomable horror unfolding before them. The scene was one of unimaginable tragedy, as the once vibrant family had become the unwilling players in a twisted drama that would captivate the nation and leave an indelible mark on the annals of criminal justice. The chilling whispers of a child's laughter, now replaced by the anguished screams of a mother desperate to save her children from the depths of despair, would be the haunting soundtrack to the night that would define the lives of all involved forever. In the quiet, sun-drenched town of Houston, Texas, a tragedy unfolded that would shake the very core of its community. It was a serene morning, the kind that promises a perfect day, when Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman, found herself in the depths of a dark, unforgiving pool, the water closing over her head with a terrifying inevitability. Her eyes, once full of life and love, now gazed into the void, reflecting the cruel reality that she had just drowned her 5 precious children, one by one. The town that had once whispered tales of the Yates family's happiness was now grappling with a nightmare that left its residents grappling with the unfathomable. As the news of the Andrea Yates drowning case spread like wildfire, the lives of those involved were torn apart, and the secrets hidden beneath the surface began to surface, painting a picture of a woman who had been silently drowning in her own despair. In the serene suburbs of Houston, Texas, where the scent of blooming jasmine mingled with the distant hum of city life, the seemingly perfect life of Andrea Yates was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. She was a woman with a gentle smile, a mother to 5 young children, and a wife to a devoted husband. Yet behind her tranquil facade, a storm brewed, one that would leave the world reeling. The sun was high in the sky on the fateful morning of June 20, 2001, when Andrea's life took a catastrophic turn. She had been diagnosed with postpartum depression, a condition that had been haunting her for years, and the weight of her struggles was about to reach its breaking point. As the day unfolded, the quiet streets of their neighborhood became the stage for a tragedy that would shake the very core of American society, forever altering the perception of mental illness and the legal system's role in protecting the innocent. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the quiet neighborhood of Houston, Texas, was jolted by a chilling tragedy that would become a defining moment in the annals of American jurisprudence. It was a day like any other when the serene facade of suburban normalcy was shattered by the unimaginable. Inside a modest 2-story home, a woman named Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5, found herself at the precipice of a dark and unfathomable decision. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows through the windows of the modest abode, as Andrea stood by the bathtub, a place of comfort and nurturing for countless children, now transformed into a macabre stage for an act of unimaginable horror. The air was thick with tension, the heat palpable, as the clock ticked closer to the moment that would change everything. It was a day when the line between sanity and madness blurred, and the true depths of human despair were laid bare for all to see. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, where the sun dipped below the horizon casting a golden glow over the sprawling metropolis, the life of Andrea Yates was as tranquil as the gentle waves of the Gulf that lay just a few miles away. A woman of 37, she was a mother of 5, a devoted wife, and a seemingly ordinary woman until the fateful night when she became the subject of one of the most harrowing cases in American legal history. It was a night that would shatter the idyllic facade of her family's life, as Andrea, in a moment of unimaginable despair, took the lives of her precious children one by one, submerging them in the bathtub of their home. The community was shocked, the nation was appalled, and the world was left grappling with the question of what could drive a seemingly loving mother to such a heinous act. As the investigation unfolded, the secrets of Andrea's past and her mental state would come to light, leading to a trial that would captivate the nation and challenge the very fabric of its understanding of sanity and guilt. In the shadowy recesses of a sun-drenched Texas summer, where the relentless heat seemed to suffocate the very essence of life, a chilling enigma unfolded in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Katy, a place where the days were long and the nights were filled with the soothing hum of cicadas. It was a world where the laughter of children playing in their backyards was as common as the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. Yet within this seemingly idyllic setting, a darkness was brewing that would shatter the tranquil facade of this once peaceful community. There, in a modest two-story home adorned with a vibrant array of flowers, lived a woman named Andrea Yates, a woman whose life was about to spiral into a vortex of despair, tragedy, and the deepest of mysteries. A mother of 5, Andrea was the embodiment of the American dream, a stay-at-home mom whose days were a tapestry of domestic bliss and the simple joys of family life. But beneath the surface of her cheerful demeanor, a storm was brewing, one that would eventually engulf her in a tempest of guilt, sorrow, and a fate that would leave the world reeling in shock and disbelief. It was a story that would begin on June 20, 2001, a date etched into the annals of American history as the day when Andrea Yates, in a moment of unimaginable horror, submerged her 5 precious children one by one into the icy waters of their family pool, leaving behind a trail of sorrow and a nation grappling with the chilling reality of a mother's darkest secret. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the sleepy town of Houston was jolted to its core as the chilling details of the Andrea Yates drowning case began to unfold. The sun baked the streets, casting long shadows and an eerie silence over the neighborhood where the tragic events took place. It was a quiet Saturday morning when the first call came in, a harrowing 911 dispatch that would shatter the idyllic facade of suburban tranquility. As police officers raced to the Yates residence, they found the scene of a catastrophic loss. Inside, the lifeless bodies of 5 innocent children lay submerged in a bathtub, the water a dark, ominous pool that seemed to hold the weight of the unspeakable horror. Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a penchant for photography and a passion for teaching, now found herself at the center of a national obsession, her life torn asunder by a judicial system grappling with the unfathomable. The story of Andrea Yates was one of love and loss, of a mother's desperate struggle with mental illness, and of a society struggling to comprehend the depths of human despair. As the case unfolded, the nation watched in a mixture of shock and horror, their hearts heavy with the weight of the innocent lives cut short, and the haunting question of why. In the sun-drenched expanse of Houston, Texas, where the relentless heat clung to the air like a second skin, the serene tranquility of a quiet suburban street was about to shatter under the weight of a dark, unfathomable secret. Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a gentle smile and a heart full of dreams, lived a life that appeared perfect to the outside world. Behind closed doors, however, a tempest brewed, and the storm would eventually engulf her in a fury that left the entire nation in shock and disbelief. On the morning of June 20, 2001, the world would be forever changed as Andrea Yates embarked on a chilling odyssey that would end with her accused of drowning her 5 beautiful children, each in a separate bathtub, in a desperate attempt to save them from the demons that she believed were consuming her very soul. The haunting tale of the Andrea Yates drowning case would unravel in a court of law, where the line between sanity and madness, between love and horror, would become the most harrowing battle of all. In the shadowed corners of a sleepy Texas town, where the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long fingers of light and casting shadows as dark as the night, the tranquil waters of the serene lake were about to become the stage for a tragedy that would shake the very foundations of the community. It was a tranquil evening, the air filled with the distant laughter of children playing by the water's edge, while the gentle lapping of waves against the shore seemed to be the only sound. Yet beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, one that would shatter the lives of those present and leave an indelible mark on the fabric of society. Amidst the idyllic scene, a woman named Andrea Yates, her mind a labyrinth of darkness and despair, stood by the water's edge, her eyes glazed over with a haunting emptiness. As she prepared to take the ultimate plunge into the depths, her actions a chilling testament to the silent battles that raged within her mind. The night was young, but the horror that was about to unfold would cast a long, dark shadow over the lives of all who witnessed it, and the truth behind the chilling act would unravel a tale of despair, deceit, and the devastating consequences of a mind trapped in the clutches of madness. In the hushed corridors of a small, sun-drenched Texas town, where the scent of jasmine and the gentle hum of cicadas painted a serene backdrop, the life of Andrea Yates seemed as tranquil as the waters of the lake that bordered her quaint neighborhood. A seemingly ordinary woman with a heart full of love, Andrea was the doting mother of 5, her days a tapestry woven with the simple joys of family life. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic existence, a storm brewed, a tempest of despair and madness that would soon shatter the tranquil facade of her home. It was a summer evening, a time when the world seemed at peace, when children played in the yard and laughter echoed through the air. But little did anyone know that this would be the night when the calm would be shattered, and the truth about Andrea Yates would emerge, a chilling revelation that would captivate the nation and leave an indelible mark on the annals of American jurisprudence. In the hushed, sun-drenched corridors of the Texas Psychiatric Hospital, the shadow of the infamous Andrea Yates loomed like a specter, her haunting whispers echoing through the sterile walls. It was a summer day when the world first heard of the tragedy that would shatter the small community of Houston, as the news of Andrea's harrowing descent into madness began to spread like wildfire. A former nursing student, a mother of 5, Andrea's life seemed like a tapestry of normalcy, until the fateful day when she became the poster child for the most heinous crime in the city's history. The morning sun cast long, melancholic shadows through the window as Andrea stood before the judge, her eyes hollow, her voice a mere whisper, confessing to the drowning of her innocent children in the bathtub of their home. The courtroom was a cacophony of gasps and sobs as the details of her twisted sanity unfolded, revealing a soul lost in the labyrinth of postpartum depression and a mind consumed by delusions. The story of Andrea Yates would become a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the fragility of mental health and the devastating consequences when society fails to intervene. In the quiet, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home belied the turmoil that would soon shatter their lives forever. It was a Tuesday morning in June, a day that would become etched into the annals of American legal history. Inside the modest bungalow, the air was thick with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and the distant hum of lawnmowers, but the serenity was a fragile illusion. Andrea Yates, a seemingly devoted mother of 5, had just woken from a restless sleep, her mind clouded by the haunting memories of her husband's recent departure. She moved silently through the house, her footsteps echoing in the quiet, each one a metronome to the growing sense of dread that clutched at her chest. As she descended the stairs, she found her children, their laughter mingling with the sound of the morning. But something was off. Their play was disjointed, their smiles seemed forced. Without a word, Andrea led them to the bathroom, a place of sanctuary in her chaotic world. There, in the dim light of the morning, she would take a fateful decision that would change everything. A decision that would plunge the nation into a maelstrom of debate and controversy. A decision that would lead to the trial of the century, and a legal battle that would redefine the boundaries of parental rights and mental health. In the quiet town of Houston, Texas, the sun dipped low behind the towering skyscrapers, casting long shadows over the sprawling cityscape. It was a typical Tuesday evening, the hum of traffic fading as the world settled into a twilight hush. But amidst the ordinary chaos of daily life, a dark storm brewed within the confines of a seemingly serene suburban home. Inside, Andrea Yates, a young mother of 5, sat in the dimly lit living room, her eyes glazed over with a mix of exhaustion and despair. She had been a picture of domestic tranquility, her life a collage of family portraits and cheerful banquets, but now the picture was fracturing, and the cracks were spreading. It was a night that would shatter the calm facade of her world and plunge the city into a maelstrom of controversy. A night when the innocence of childhood was drowned in a bathtub of silence, and the soul of a mother would become the subject of the most profound moral debate of the decade. In the sweltering summer of 2001, the quiet neighborhood of Cypress Bay was forever altered by the chilling events that would unravel the life of Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman whose descent into madness would leave an indelible mark on the fabric of American society. It was a Sunday morning like any other, the sun casting a golden glow over the tranquil waters of the bay, when the lives of the Yates family were shattered by a series of tragic events that would leave the community reeling in shock and disbelief. The tranquil atmosphere was shattered when police officers arrived at the modest home of Andrea and her husband, Russell, amidst the cries of a frantic neighbor who had heard the sound of water splashing and the cries of a child. The scene that unfolded inside the home was one of horror and despair, as they discovered the lifeless bodies of their 5 young children, victims of a brutal act of domestic terrorism. The investigation that followed would delve deep into the twisted mind of Andrea Yates, revealing a harrowing journey of mental illness and a desperate struggle for survival that would leave the nation grappling with questions about the nature of evil and the fragility of human sanity. As the story of Andrea Yates and her infamous drowning of her children unfolded, it would become a cautionary tale about the silent epidemic of postpartum depression and the importance of mental health awareness, forever etching the names of her innocent victims into the annals of American tragedy. In the quiet, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, the tranquil facade of the Yates family home was about to shatter into a mosaic of tragedy and mystery. The year was 2001, and the neighborhood buzzed with the usual summer hum of barbecues and backyard games, but behind the white picket fence, a dark storm brewed. Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5, had always been the embodiment of domestic bliss, her life a picturesque tableau of domesticity and devotion. Yet, as the days grew hotter, whispers of a stormy secret began to ripple through the community, a secret that would eventually explode into the national consciousness, casting a long, ominous shadow over the once peaceful streets. The story of Andrea Yates and the drowning of her children would become a harrowing tale of a mind in turmoil, a case that would challenge the very definition of sanity and the boundaries of parental love. It was a story that would not only captivate the nation, but also unravel the fabric of a family and a community, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow and a haunting question. What drives a woman to take the lives of her own children? In the quiet, sun-drenched suburbs of Houston, Texas, a tragedy unfolded that would shatter the community's sense of safety and peace. It was a calm autumn morning when the serene neighborhood of Clear Lake was jarred by the chilling discovery of a mother, Andrea Yates, floating face down in her backyard swimming pool. The incident that followed would become one of the most talked about and deeply scrutinized cases in American legal history. As the community gathered to mourn the loss of a young mother and wife, the disturbing truth behind the deaths of her 5 children began to unravel, revealing a story of mental illness, isolation, and the relentless pursuit of a seemingly perfect life. The tale of Andrea Yates, a woman who stood accused of drowning her own offspring in a bathtub, would captivate the nation, leaving an indelible mark on the public's understanding of maternal psychosis and the complexities of the human psyche. In the heart of a sweltering Texas summer, the tranquil waters of the small, picturesque lake became the backdrop for a tragedy that would echo through the annals of American jurisprudence. It was a scene of idyllic serenity, with the sun casting a golden glow over the shimmering surface, as children splashed and families gathered for a day of joy and relaxation. But amidst this otherwise cheerful tableau, a shadow was cast, a shadow that would soon become the focal point of a national debate about the nature of mental illness and the limits of parental responsibility. Andrea Yates, a seemingly ordinary woman with a serene smile and a gentle demeanor, had been living a life that was as unassuming as the day she was about to shatter the very fabric of her community's peace. Her story began like countless others, with the soft cooing of a newborn baby and the promise of a future filled with love and laughter. Yet, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, a subtle shift began to take place, a shift that would ultimately lead to the unimaginable. It was a shift that would not only alter the course of Andrea's life, but also challenge the very core of what it means to be a mother. Little did anyone know that the woman who once shared her dreams of a perfect family would soon become the embodiment of a national nightmare, her name etched into the annals of history as the infamous Andrea Yates, accused of drowning her 5 precious children in a bathtub of cold water. The question that would linger long after the trial concluded was not simply one of guilt or innocence, but rather, what had driven Andrea to commit such a heinous act? Was it the insidious grasp of mental illness, or was it something far more sinister lurking in the shadows of her own mind? As the investigation unfolded, the pieces of Andrea's life began to fall into place, revealing a complex tapestry of love, loss, and despair. The story of Andrea Yates was not just about a woman who took the ultimate step of despair. It was about the delicate balance between the human heart and the forces that threatened to pull it apart. It was a story that would leave an indelible mark on the American psyche, a story that would force us to confront the very essence of our humanity. In the hushed, overcast town of Houston, Texas, a shroud of silence enveloped the otherwise bustling community as the chilling news of Andrea Yates' trial echoed through the corridors of justice. It was a summer day that would forever etch itself into the annals of history, a day when the tranquil facade of suburban life was shattered by the haunting reality of a mother's unimaginable descent into madness. The sun cast a muted glow upon the modest, cookie-cutter houses lining the street where Andrea lived, her home now a focal point of a national tragedy. With every click of the camera lens and the solemn whispers of reporters, the story of a seemingly perfect family unraveled, revealing the chilling truth behind the drowning of her 5 young children in the bathtub of their home. As the trial commenced, the courtroom became a stage for the most harrowing drama, where the fate of a woman, her children, and the very essence of motherhood hung in the delicate balance of human understanding and judicial scrutiny. In the serene town of Houston, Texas, where the sun baked the streets into a mosaic of gold and asphalt, the life of Andrea Yates was a quiet tapestry woven with threads of domestic bliss and unspoken sorrow. The tranquil waters of the bayou that wound through the city's heart seemed to whisper secrets of the soul, yet to those closest to Andrea, the ripples of her inner turmoil remained hidden beneath a calm exterior. A picture-perfect mother of 5, Andrea's life took a chilling turn on the morning of June 20, 2001, when the world was shattered by the news that she had drowned her children in the bathtub of their home. A Chinese letter that would send shockwaves through the nation and raise questions about the nature of mental illness, the strength of family bonds, and the complexities of human psychology. As the community gathered to mourn the loss of the Yates children, the life of Andrea Yates herself became a haunting enigma, a story that would unravel over the course of a gripping trial, exposing the dark undercurrents that flowed beneath the surface of her seemingly perfect life. In the heart of a sun-drenched Texas suburb, where the lawns were perfectly manicured and the laughter of children echoed through the stillness, Andrea Yates, a seemingly serene mother of 5, found herself ensnared in a web of despair that would unravel the very fabric of her life. The tranquil facade of her family's home was about to shatter as the community discovered the harrowing truth behind the silent screams that had echoed through the nights. As the morning sun peeked over the horizon, horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the yard. Andrea's world was about to collide with a force so violent it would shake the very foundations of her reality. The calm before the storm, the gentle hum of suburban existence, was about to be shattered by a tragedy that would become a chilling epitome of human sorrow and the darkest depths of maternal despair.